Now we would like to introduce our first Career Talk speaker, Jono Moreau, Havoc Skateboard entrepreneur. So Jono, besides skateboarding, what is your second favorite sport?
Snowboarding.
Snowboarding, great.
The other board. Thank you. Hello. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a teacher, entrepreneur, DJ, skateboarder, snowboarder, and I spearheaded the Glenwood Springs skate park project when I was 16 years old. Now, let me start off by talking about my past briefly. It was 2004, and I had just graduated from middle school, but I had a different perspective on school and life. I wanted something more than your typical classroom environment. I loved the outdoors, and I heard about this little alternative school called Yampa Mountain High. So I applied as soon as I heard about it, and I got accepted. A little more than a year goes by, and now I'm a sophomore. I skateboarded just about every day, but also had the burden of a run-down, weather-beaten skate park to use. So my friends and I had to skate elsewhere, public businesses, banks, all around town, even the sheriff's department a few times, which obviously wasn't the best decision as it would lead to a bad image from the public, as well as maybe a couple tickets. So I went to my advisor at Yampa, Mike Podmore, and I said, "We need a new skate park. Is there anything I can do?" In which he replied, "Of course, Jono, you can do anything you set your mind to. You just need to make goals towards achieving it and start with the basics." So we set out and we made an entire academic plan based around doing civics research and talking to people in the city council, including the mayor at the time, Bruce Christensen. We also made presentations and we recruited community members from recruited community members to support as well. So the time finally came. I had to present my proposal to the city council. A teenager, a skateboarder, I had hair past my shoulders. I had to present not only to the council, but to an entire room full of people. I was so nervous, but I knew all this hard work was about to pay off, hopefully. So after my presentation, I get a roar of applause, followed by green lights flashing across the board, in approval of my skate park vision. I was super stoked, but the hard work wasn't over yet. I had only gotten the approval for the construction of my skate park, but didn't have any money for it yet. So I set out with the help of council members and a dedicated team from all around to fill out grants and do fundraising. Long story short, we were able to obtain a $60,000 grant as well as $3,000 from fundraising. So I signed a few checks and the construction takes off. The skate park was built less than a year later, with some additions still to be made for any of you who are interested. So now let's fast forward to a couple years after I graduated from Yampa. I get a phone call from my old advisor, Mike, asking if I wanted to be a chaperone on one of their interim field trips, which was rafting in Colorado and Utah. And of course, my answer was, heck yeah. So after that, I get a few calls a year to do these trips, which led to the principal saying, "Why don't you just go to college and work for Yampa full time?" Again, I was like, well, heck yeah. So ever since, I've been working on getting my college degree and becoming a full-time teacher. Now, just this last year, a fellow colleague of mine, whom you might know, Mike Lowe, came to me and asked me, knowing my history with skateboarding in the skate park, and asked if I wanted to be a part of starting a skateboard business based out of Yampa. And of course, my answer was, heck yeah. So he said we would use it as a head start to becoming business owners for students, to be able to get high school credit at the same time. So the business started with a small amount of students, but once word got out, we were the popular class to go to. And after a long consideration on the name, we come up with Handmade Art, Valley's Own Custom Skateboard, also known as Havoc Skateboard. Now, it's only been about 7 months, but business is doing very well. It's been in the Post-Independent multiple times, as well as sales staying very consistent. But the most rewarding part to me is that not only am I doing what I love most, but more importantly, teaching the future generations the awesome business that is Havoc. Thank you.